Okay, this is lesson 2B, part 3, measurement conversions. So right here you see that we have some units of length and volume. And I want you to notice that for the length we have 1 foot equals 12 inches, which you probably knew. There's 1 yard equals 3 feet, 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. Now these statements would make no sense if we just took the units out and we said something like 1 equals 12. So the units matter. So these look like equations because we are using an equal sign, and 1 foot does represent the same thing as this. It's the same length as 12 inches. That's true. So 1 foot really does equal 12 inches. But it's really a ratio that we can use to make conversions from feet to inches, or inches to feet, or yards to feet, or feet to miles. And the same thing with the volumes. These are sometimes difficult to remember because we don't use them all the time, especially teaspoons and tablespoons. But here they are just in case we need them. Now, when we write a ratio with them, then we write them using the units such as 1 foot compares to 12 inches. In the same way, let's say if you have something that's 2.5 feet long. Okay, so 2.5 feet would be how many inches? So we can make a proportion to find missing measurements when we want to change the measurement units. So if I want to change my measurement units from feet into inches, then I could write a proportion like this. And then I could solve it by cross multiplying. So 1 times x is x, and 12 times 2.5 would be about 24, 30 inches. Now, the units on my answer are important. So I don't want to just say x equals 30 because I want to find out how many inches that is. So x equals 30 inches. That would be important. So that's the kind of thing we're going to be doing. Okay? So here are some more unit conversions with weight and time. So there's like 4 different things. You have length and volume and weight and time. And each one of those, we have different ways of measuring things. Okay? So we're going to use these. So you actually want to have a handy little sheet with all these measurement conversions on it so that you can use them when you need them. So you don't have to keep flipping back and forth to the video. So I'll put something together for you. But anyway, let's try some of these. So we have a standard adult male makes 10 paces for every 30 feet, which is a good way to measure things. So if you just stride it out and you have 10 strides, 10 paces makes 30 feet. How many standard paces would there be in a mile? Okay, good question. So in this one, I want to know for 10 paces every 30 feet, first of all, I want to know like how many of these 30 feet units, 30 feet paces are going to be in a mile. Well, I can't really divide 1 mile by 30 feet because that's not going to make sense. So I have to convert this mile into feet. Okay? So my first question on this one is 1 mile is how many feet? Okay, well that conversion ratio was on the other page. Did you memorize it? And it was 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. Okay. So one way we could solve this problem, now that we know how many feet there are that are in this mile that we're trying to figure out how many paces, is we could make a proportion with our paces and feet, because a mile is now turned into feet. So if we have 10 paces, this is not strictly a conversion problem, for every 30 feet, and we want to know how many paces. See how we're writing our proportion? And we have 5,280 feet. We're kind of converting our feet into paces. And this is like our conversion ratio for feet and paces. But now we can just cross multiply. Now, if you want to reduce the 10 and the 30 to 1 and 3, that would be okay too. Let's make this an x and cross multiply. So that would be 30x equals 10 times 5,280 would be 52,800. And then divide by 30. I'm not going to work all of these problems out because like I don't want to take time with multiplying and dividing just to make the video longer. So like we're going to set up the problem, we'll start to solve it, you can finish. Okay, so let's go to the second problem. An IV drip, I know some of you probably looked at that and thought, oh, a Roman numeral 4 drip. No, it's an IV drip is set at 40 drops per minute. How many drops per hour is this? Oh, good question. So 40 drops per minute is how many drops per hour? Okay, so on this one, I am going to do something like the last one, except I want to know, since I'm converting this 40 drops per minute to how many drops per hour, I want to know like how many minutes there are in this hour. How many drops per hour is the same thing as asking how many drops per X minutes. Like how many minutes are there in an hour? Well, you probably already know, even though it was on our conversion ratios back there, that there's 60 minutes in an hour. So 60 minutes. So this question, how many drops per hour, is really how many drops per 60 minutes. Okay, well, we could write this proportion the same way we did the last one. 40 drops for every 1 minute, remember per minute implies 1 minute, is how many drops for 60 minutes. Now on this one, when you cross multiply, it's just 1 times x, which is 1x, which is nice, and 40 times 60, whatever that is. 40 times 60 would be 2,400. So that'd be 2,400 drops per hour. Label your units on your answers. Thank you very much. Okay, let's try these. These are like more measurement conversion problems, and let's see what we get. The first one, water purifier chemical instructions call for 3 drops for every 12 ounces of water. If you've ever been camping and you didn't want to pack your own water because water is heavy, then you take these little purifier drops and then you scoop some water out of the stream that looks kind of clean, but you never know. And you put a couple drops in there, and that kind of purifies the water well enough for you to be able to drink it without getting sick, which is nice. Anyway, we have 3 drops for every 12 ounces of water. This should say how many. How many drops would be required for a gallon of water. Okay, so same thing here. I have 12 ounces, but I'm going to turn that into like gallons. So for this one, oops, I accidentally hit the button to go to the next page. For every 1 gallon, I want to know how many ounces that is. Okay, good question. Now, on the measurement conversion sheet, we might have to do a little bit of work on this one. So, here's what the measurement conversion sheet says. It says there's 8 ounces in 1 cup, and there's 2 cups in 1 pint, and there's 2 pints in 1 quart, and there's 4 quarts in 1 gallon. So we want to know how many ounces there are in a gallon. Well, if there's 8 ounces in a cup and there's 2 cups in a pint, then we can take 8 times 2 to get how many ounces are in a pint. If that's how many ounces are in a pint, 16, then That's 1 pint. We can take that times 2 to get how many ounces are in a quart. So that's 16 times 2. That's 32 ounces in a quart. And if there's 4 quarts in a gallon, and there's 32 ounces in a quart, we can multiply 32 times 4. That would be 128 ounces in 1 gallon. Okay, so 1 gallon is 128 ounces. Okay, so now we need 3 drops. See, our units have to match for 12 ounces of water. And that's how many drops for 128 ounces of water. That 128 ounces is our gallon. So now we could cross multiply and solve that. Remember, it's going to be 12x equals 3 times 128. I'm not going to multiply for you. You can do that. But then after you are done multiplying 3 times 128, you have to divide by 12. And after you write that answer, don't forget to label that as drops per gallon. Okay? All right, let's try this one. Gary weighed 8.5 pounds at birth. Normal growth rate for the first year is 5 ounces per month. 5 ounces per month. If Gary experienced, I should work on my typing skills here. Normal growth, how much would he weigh when he was 1 year old? Well, I think we can figure out a little bit. So we have a couple things to do here. 5 ounces per month, but he's going to be 1 year old. So we're going to start him at 8.5 pounds. He's going to increase weights by 5 ounces per month. That would have to be multiplied by the number of months. We know how many months that is. 12 months because it's the first year, so multiply by 12 months. And that should equal the total weight. So the beginning weight plus how much he's going to increase his weight by right here should be the total weight. Here's the problem. This is pounds, this is ounces. So you need to decide, do you want to change everything to ounces or do you want to change everything to pounds? I think that the math we're doing here would be easier to change everything into ounces because 5 ounces is not going to be a very nice, easy to work with number of pounds. Okay, so we might have to change it back at the end. So 8.5 pounds is how many ounces? Okay, on our conversion ratios over there, we have 1 pound is 16 ounces. Well, you have to be careful with ounces also. There's a weight ounces like we're dealing with here. 1 pound is 16 ounces. And there's also a fluid ounces, which is a volume. All right, so if 1 pound is 16 ounces, 1 pound is 16 ounces. Then 8.5 pounds is going to be how many ounces? So when we cross multiply here, we have 1x equals 16 times 8.5. I'm going to go ahead and get this one so we can do a little bit of the math. 16 times 8.5 is 136. Oh, I like it. It's a nice whole number. So that's 136 ounces. So we're going to change our problem to 136 ounces plus 5 ounces per month for 12 months. So we have to take that 5 ounces per month and multiply by 12 months. Okay. 5 ounces per month times 12 months would be 60 ounces. So that's 136 ounces plus 60 ounces. And that'll be the total weight, which is going to be about 196 ounces. That's awesome. But what I want to know is how many pounds is that? So now we're going to convert that back into pounds. So let's take our 196 ounces. And we don't know how many pounds that is. But we do know there's 16 ounces in 1 pound. So there's our new proportion that we could use to turn that back into pounds. Notice our units match. I have ounces compared to pounds equals ounces compared to pounds. When I cross multiply on this one, it's going to be 16 times x equals 1 times 196. So really it's 196 divided by 16, which is 12.25. Be sure to label your answer because that's 12.25 pounds. It's not 12.25 ounces, and it's not 12.25 kilograms. So label it. Okay, let's run some of these. Now, these are metric unit conversion ratios, and we have the same 4 things. We have length, which is like distance, mass, which is like weight, volume, and capacity. And we also have time, but time doesn't change units from standard to metric. So we have the same time conversions that we had before. Now, some of these you should recognize, such as there's 1,000 meters in a kilometer. There's 1,000 liters in a kiloliter. There's 1,000 grams in a kilogram, because the word kilo means that there's 1,000. And that's pretty commonly used. Some of the other ones are not quite as common, like a hectometer being 100 meters and a decameter being 10 meters. They're not quite as common. Now, centimeter, those are small. There's 100 centimeters in a meter, which means a centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. In a millimeter, there's 1,000 millimeters in a meter, so there's 1/1000th. See, this is 1/1000th of a meter in 1 millimeter. And those same prefixes are true for mass and volume units. So there's 1,000 milliliters in a liter. Oh, here it is. 1/1000th of a liter is a milliliter. And so forth. Okay, so now we're going to have more conversion ratios to use for problems like this. Ounces, wait. Oh, I almost forgot about these. See, now we can also convert from metric to standard with these conversion ratios. So if you want to know how many inches are in a foot, that's 12, but how many centimeters are in a foot? Ooh, that's a different. If you know there's 2.54 centimeters in an inch, then you would have to multiply 12 times 2.54 because there's 12 inches. What is 12 times 2.54? Well, it's about 30. 30.48 about. It's about 30. And we can change quarts to liters or liters to quarts, which is good because if you have a gas tank and it takes gallons and you go to Canada and they sell gas by the liter, you're like, how many liters does it take to fill up my tank? Because if they're charging $3.28 per liter, how much is that going to cost? Do you have enough cash on you? I don't know. Okay, so now we have those. We milliliters and keep hitting the wrong button. Milliliters and ounces. Oh, here we go. 1 fluid ounce equals 30 milliliters. Okay, so let's go there. Kilometers and miles. I have right here 1 mile is 1.61 kilometers. Flip back here. Pounds and kilograms. I have this. 1 pound is 0.45 kilograms. Gallons and liters. Okay, well, all my volume here, I have 1 quart is 0.95 liters. Okay, I have 1 liter is 1.06 quarts. I don't have any gallons and liters. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this one. The reason I'm going to use this one is because it's a whole quart. This one's not a whole quart. And the reason I like the whole quart is because I know that there's 4 quarts in 1 gallon. So let's go to our problem and see what we have. 1 quart is 0.9. Would be able to do some more conversion problems like these. So Jake's water bottle holds 500 milliliters of water. How many fluid ounces is that? Oh, good question. So in this one, we need a conversion that's going to take milliliters to ounces, or ounces to milliliters. So I'm going to look up on my table over there, milliliters and ounces. So let's flip back and see if we can find it. Milliliters. So 1 fluid ounce is 30 milliliters. Did I get that right? Okay. Now that I have that, I can change this 500 milliliters of water into how many ounces. So now you can write your proportion any way you want. Some people like the unknown, the x, to be in the numerator, which is fine. So if it says how many fluid ounces, you know, you're going to have x ounces. And you're getting those x ounces from this 500 milliliters. So compare that to 500 milliliters. Which means over here on the other side, we're going to put ounces on top and milliliters on the bottom. So that would be 1 ounce for 30 milliliters. And then when we cross multiply, it'll be 30 times x and 500 times 1. And then we'll have to divide by 30. And after you do that, be sure you label your answer round to the nearest tenth. So whatever that is going to be ounces. Okay. Corey's cross-country race was 5 kilometers. How many miles is that? Okay, so we need kilometers and miles. All right, let's go back and see if we can find it. Got that memorized? 1 mile is 1.61 kilometers. Okay, so the question is how many miles? So if you want to, you could say x miles. And that goes with the 5 kilometers. It doesn't matter if you put your x in the numerator or denominator, because maybe you want to say, okay, I have 5 kilometers. How many miles is that? And you could do 5 over x. That's okay, as long as your units match. If you put miles over kilometers, then you have to put miles over kilometers. So that would be 1 mile over 1.61 kilometers. Now this time when you cross multiply, it's going to be 1.61 times x equals 5 times 1. And then you have to divide by 1.61. Whatever that is. And that will be your number of miles. Whatever 5 divided by 1.61 is. I'm just guessing that it's about 3.2. I didn't really divide that. Just guessing. So I'm back here, 5 liters. All right, and let's try these. Michael wrestles in the 145-pound weight class in high school. For a Greco-Roman tournament, he has to know his weight in kilograms. What is his weight in kilograms? So the problem is 145 pounds is how many kilograms? So that's the problem. So when we look up our conversion ratio, we would like to find pounds in kilograms. So let's see if we can find that. 1 pound is 0.45 kilograms. And that should be all I need. Okay, so you can write your proportion any way you want to. I'm going to put x kilograms over 145 pounds. And that means I'm going to put just 0.45 kilograms over 1 pound. And this time when I cross multiply, it's going to be 1 times x, which is 1x equals 145 times 0.45. whatever that is, and that'll be my number of kilograms. I'm going to do that one. 145 times 0.45. 65.25. 65.25 kilograms. So here's Michael's issue now. So in the Greco-Roman tournament, they have a 65 kilogram weight class. If he's over that, then he has to go in the 70 kilogram weight class. So he wants to lose 0.25 kilograms. He has a scale at home, but it's not measuring in kilograms, it's measuring in pounds. So he might have to do another problem now. 0.25 kilograms is how many pounds? So if we did that one, we can use this same conversion ratio that we did before. And we can put our X pounds over 0.25 kilograms. Or you could put 0.25 kilograms over X pounds if you want to. Doesn't matter, as long as your units match on both sides of the proportion. So I put pounds over kilograms, so I'm going to put pounds, 1 pound, 0.45 kilograms. And this time when I cross multiply, it's going to be 0.45 times x. And 1 times 0.25 is 0.25. So now x is going to be a division, 0.25 divided by 0.45. Let's do that. I want to know what that is. Okay, 0.25 divided by 0.45. That's 0.5 repeating pounds. So he has to lose over half a pound. It's probably doable. Okay. All right, let's try this last one. Clyde's gas tank holds 15 gallons. How many liters does it take to fill the tank? Assuming the tank is empty. Here's the problem. We have 15 gallons that it'll take to fill the tank, and we want to know how many liters that is. So we need to find a conversion ratio for gallons and liters. Okay, let's see if we can find that. So we're going to, all right, 1 quart is 0.95 liters. Okay, now since this is a ratio, I know it looks like an equation, but it's a ratio. And with the ratios and equations, either one, we can multiply both sides by the same number. I'm going to multiply this side by 4 because then it'll be 4 quarts and it'll be a gallon, which means I also have to multiply this side by 4. So if I multiply the left side by 4, I get 4 quarts, but I'm not going to write 4 quarts. I'm going to write 1 gallon. And on the right side, I'm going to take 0.95 times 4, which is 3.8. So I made my own conversion ratio on this one. 1 gallon is I wrote the wrong thing there. 1 gallon is 3.8 liters. Oh man, see, I almost got confused. Liters. So let's go over here and write that before we forget. 1 gallon is 3.8 liters. Okay, and now we can solve our problem. So if you want to put X liters, if you want to, X liters over 15 gallons, then we have 3.8 liters over 1 gallon. And when we cross multiply, it'll be 1 times x, which is 1x, yay, and 3.8 times 15. 3.8 times 15, let's go ahead and do that one. Is 57, and that's 57 liters. Okay, so if Clyde's filling up his gas tank, and it takes 57 liters from empty to fill up his gas tank, and they charge, how much did I say earlier? $3.15 per liter How much is it going to charge, cost him to fill up his tank? Well, $3.50, 15 cents per liter times 57 liters. That's $179.55. Almost $180, approximately. Clyde, do you have $180 on you? That's $180 Canadian. So, well, just put it on your MasterCard and hope they do the conversion correctly so that it comes out the right way. All right, good luck. Those are our conversions.